Hi everyone, welcome to Code with Ben. Hi everyone, welcome to Code with Ben. So in this tutorial, we'll discuss Node.js. Now, before we go deeper into Node.js, I would first of all want everyone to download the Visual Studio. Okay, the Visual Studio application is what we'll be using to run our code. There are several um, other tools that you can use. You can basically there are other that you can use the Notepad plus plus. You can also use the web. You can also use the web storm. Okay, all right. But I prefer the Visual Studio. So because the Visual Studio is more efficient. Okay, so I would prefer the Visual Studio, but whichever uh, editor you want to use is fine. Okay, now to begin with, first of all, so download the Visual Studio. So download the Visual Studio and also download the Node.js software. Now, just pause the video for a few seconds and download it and the requisite applications. Then we can begin. Okay, welcome back. So I believe by now we have downloaded the various applications that we'll be using to continue on with these tutorials. Now, before we begin, I would like to discuss a little bit about the Node.js. Okay, so the Node.js is a server-side programming language, okay, built on JavaScript. Now, we all know, or if you are familiar with JavaScript, JavaScript is basically the front-end application that provides us with a dynamic web application or web UI, okay, on the front end. Now, so because JavaScript provides that front end, okay, Node.js is the back end or the server side, okay, for JavaScript. So this means that if you are familiar with Node, if you are familiar with JavaScript, or if you are familiar with web development on the front end, then it's easier to use the same knowledge with JavaScript on the back end. Okay, there are several programming languages that are available or to use for the backend. Okay, now but we will discuss, we will basically use Node.js and Django. So in our subsequent videos, we will discuss a little bit about Django and using Django rather than Node.js. Um, we all know Node.js is built on the V8 Google system. Okay, so it's very fast, and because it's written in JavaScript, and JavaScript is basically on the front end, it's easier. Okay, or it runs faster. Okay, when using Node.js for the backend. Okay, now before we begin with the uh, going deeper into the Node.js, I would first of all want to us to us to initialize our npm package. Now, the package manager is what we will be using to install the various libraries that we'll need, okay, in our application. Okay, so npm, when you download the or when you install the Node.js, it comes with npm, which is the Node Package Manager. Now, this Node Package Manager allows us to, as I said earlier, install packages, okay, for our application. Now, first of all, let's initialize the package manager. Now, to do that, we'll type npm init, okay, then hit enter. So when we type npm init and hit enter, it will give us a various input fields. Okay, so it will ask us to input um, the package name, okay, and some other data that it will need to save, okay, as so this information that we are inputting will be used, okay, to it will be included inside the package or inside the package as reference, okay, to the package owner or to the package that we are currently running on. So it will ask you for the package name. So input your name. This I've already gone through it, so you can see that my name is already there. But if this is your first time, just write your the package name or the name you want to be added to your package. Do not remember, do not add the brackets. Okay, so just type in the name without any bracket, without any quotation, without anything. Just type it there. Okay, so when you are done with that, just hit enter. It will ask you for version. You can input version, just type 1, which means that version 1. Okay, that's version 1 that we are currently running on. So just hit enter when you are done. Description. What description do you want to? What name do you want to describe the package? Okay, so just type the name there, whatever name you input there. Some fields are there, you can leave it blank. Okay, then it will ask you for Git repository. Okay, the Git repository. So I urge everybody to have a Git account. So the Git repository. So download the Git account. So sign up for a Git account if you don't have one. Okay, so you can go to gitapp.com, then also sign up. So GitHub is a repository. If you are a developer, you will use it to like a backup. So it's like a backup your source code. Okay, so if you have written a source code, you can just back it up on your GitHub account. Okay, on the GitHub there's private and there's public. Okay, so if it's your personal code, okay, then you can just save it under the private. So just always check when you go to GitHub, just check whether it's saved. So you see on the GitHub, you see it private or public. So just check all the time if it is a public document. If it's a public document, sorry about that. So just check if it's a public document you are saving or if it's a private document. If it's a private document, then it means that nobody can see or nobody can view the package. If it's a public document, then it means that anyone who has your sorry about that. So if it's a public document, it means that anyone who has access to your Git or who goes into your Git account, okay, can view the various repository that you have there. But if it's private, only you can see it. Nobody can see it. Okay. So sign up for Git, put your Git account here, then hit enter. Then keyword you can leave it blank. Author, that's your name, that's the owner of the package. So you can input the author there. You can leave the license blank. So when you are done with everything, it will ask you, is this okay? So you see that whatever you inputted will be described here. So it will be placed in this block code. Okay. It comes with a key value in a JSON format. Now, JSON format, you can see that JSON format, the key and the value are surrounded with quotation. Okay, double quotation. Okay, that's so when you see the key and you see the colon and you see another value there surrounded in quotation, it's a JSON format. Okay, yeah, all right. So JSON formats are basically used on the website, okay, for data or for data queries and other thing on the website on the front end. Okay, so that's for JSON. Okay, it's JavaScript object notation. All right. So that is just by the way. So when you are done, then you click, is this okay? If you are okay, you type yes. Okay. All right. Now, I've already gone through it, so I will not click yes. So I'll just cancel it. Okay. Now, when you are done with that one, now let's go through the package that we just created. Okay. Now, okay. So when you come to this package that we just created, when you open the package.json that we just created, you see that there are several items that we have. You will see dependencies, but you will not see all of this. Okay. Now, these dependencies include the various packages that we've installed. Okay, using the npm. Okay. So whatever installation that we do with the npm, it will be placed inside the dependency. Okay. All right. So that's basically for the dependency. So you can see the name. You can see the name of the package. Okay. And you see this value. Okay. This value represents the version. So the version of the package that you have, or the library that you are using, the version. So you can see that the version I'm using version 7.0.7. Okay, that's the version number. All right. When you come down here, you see the data that we inputted. So you can see if the name, so you can see the name, so it gives you the name, so it gives you the version number. Earlier on, you realize that they asked you for version. Okay, so the version number, if you inputted 1, you see 1.0.0. Okay, then the description, then you will also see this script. Okay, now the scripts now gives us items such as stats. Okay, now this stats represents how we want to start this application. Okay, now let's come back to the Visual Studio. Now, when you go to the Visual Studio, you realize that the Visual Studio has on the source code side, or the source code page where we write our source code. When you check on the right top corner, you see an arrow. Okay, when you highlight, you see it run code. Now this is used to run the code. Okay, so whatever code that we run here, whatever source code that we have here, when we hit this one, it will run it. Okay, now uh, in this tutorial we will not be using this. Okay, we'll be using a package known as Nodemon. So first of all, let's install our first package. Okay, so you go to npm I nodemon. Okay, all right. Now I am using I to represent install. If you want to use, you can also use, rather than using I, you can just type npm install, which will basically do the same thing. Okay, install nodemon. Okay, now, or if you want the shorthand, you can use the I. Okay, yeah, so I prefer the shorthand I. All right, but it's basically the same thing. All right, so the npm install nodemon, when you hit enter, it will start installing the package. Now remember that you have to have internet access to be able to download the package. Okay, so just make sure that you have internet access so that you can download the package swiftly. Now when you are done with the package installation, okay, you now have access to Node daemon. Okay, now to be able to start the application, let me just terminate here. Okay. I already have no daemon, so I don't really want to install another. package again. Um, okay, so when we are done installing the node daemon, we can now start the node daemon. Okay, so now to start the node daemon, we'll type node daemon. Then, okay, so first of all, let's create a file. Okay, so let's create a directory. Okay, to wherever we want our source code to be. So create a directory. Okay, then when you're done creating the directory, create a file inside that directory. So you can have a file inside. So you can click here to create. So that's you can click here to create a file if we've already created a directory. So when you click here and create a when you click here, it creates a new file. Okay. Then we save this file inside the directory. Then name it any name you want to name it. Okay. So when we are done, then let's now when we are done creating the file, let's now come back to this screen and start the node daemon. Now, when you are done with the when you are done with that, then we expect that when you type node daemon and the file name, okay, it's you should see something like this. If you do not see something like this, then hit me up in the description and I'll get back to you. But you have to see something like this. If you've gone through the steps that I've highlighted, you should be able to see something like this when you type no daemon, then the file name. Okay. Now, first of all, let's test our no daemon and let's see how it works. Now, with the no daemon, we will not have to always hit the run code button over here anytime we write our source code. Whenever you write the source code, the node daemon automatically runs the code for you. So for instance, let's say we write console.log, then we say hello world, okay. You see that it is already printing out hello world, okay. All right. So that is the exciting thing about no daemon. Whatever you type, so that is the most exciting thing about no daemon. Whatever that you are typing there, it will now be displayed for you. Okay. Um, all right. So that's just by the way. So basically, if we are done with this, then we can now hit the road. Okay. Now, um, to begin with, we are discussing about Node.js. So to begin with, we'll discuss about the various um, information. So preliminary information that we need to know. Okay, about we need to know before we can go deeper into the Node.js. Now, so things like we need to know the OS, that's the operating system that we are using. We need to know a lot of information about the operating system because as a developer or as a programmer, before you just start coding, you would have to know about the system. Okay, and if you have node, if you are using the node, okay, it's easier to get information about the system. Okay, so we would have to know, let's get deeper into with the system that we are using. Okay, so that we'll just know that what when we start coding we won't be confronted with any surprises. um, okay, so let's start with knowing a little bit about the system. So first of all, before we start, we need to import certain models. Now, models are functions or files that we import, okay, to use, okay, in our current directory. Okay, so for instance, if you have a model, when we go to Express, we will discuss about how to create our own custom models. Okay, yeah. So if we have a model, if you have a model, the model can contain functions, can contain variables, it can contain classes, okay, that we use, okay, in the current directory. Okay, so if I want to use a different model in this directory, and this directory, I'm talking of the big code, that's this file name. I want to use a model, okay, that I've not defined in this file name, but I want to use it in this file name, then I need to import that model, okay, to be able to use it in this file. Okay, so to import it, there we can now type const, then the OS, and the require OS. All right. Now, use if you are familiar with JavaScript, you will know what const basically means. Const is constant, okay? So it means that this variable that I've created will not change. It's constant, okay? There are other ways of defining the variable. We can use let, okay? We can use let like this, okay? Or we can use var depending on the scope. So var and let, they are scope defined. So if you have if you have a function, okay, let me just give a little brief about the var and the let. So if you have a function, okay, then let's say we have a function, so we have var. So let's just have something small like this, sock, socket, name, var name is equal to socket. Okay, then we have a function, name